All right, y'all. Hi. This is a change of format, kind of. I want to try this out for like long stuff because realistically, I'm just not gonna have like 2 hours of gameplay to be like, And to be honest, I don't really feel like putting 2 hours of gameplay in a video because that is hard, and I need to play games that are appealing to look at. And frankly, I don't really like that many games that are appealing to look at, as y'all can probably tell from my gameplay. I just play like Civ all day. So here we are, we're doing this for now. I plan on having a longer term solution, but for now we're doing this. And for now, we're watching this video up here. Hey, look at that. I'm already interacting. I'm so good at this. But anyways, for watching this video, I'm forwarding some narratives here. You look at me. I'm pretty white. I, like, yeah, I'm pretty white. Uh, so I guess I'm forwarding a narrative here. I guess I am a part of the industrial complex, and maybe industrialism isn't that bad. But anyways, I don't know a lot about this video. I just know that it kind of sucks. Is all the coverage I've seen about it. But hopefully we'll be able to survive. Let's go. Hopefully the camera doesn't cover up like anything.
To some, the title of this video will be seen as hyperbolic. I and many other people of color and queer folks don't see it that way, due to our understanding of leftism with the intersectional lens. Leftism that isn't based in intersectionality is upholding white supremacy. It ignores the BIPOC contributions such as microaggression coined by Chester Pierce in 1970 to intersectionality from Kimberly William Crenshaw in 1989.
This isn't disagreeable, I don't think. However, you're describing intersectionality as purely a race thing, which it isn't. Intersectionality is it's every single group you're a part of. It isn't if you're black, or if you're white, if you're Asian, if you're Hispanic. It's it's me. I am a white straight male. That is three groups that I belong to, and that is three groups that all coincide with each other in intersectionality. This is a black woman. Those are two groups. I don't know her sexuality, so I'm not going to say that, but she is a black woman. Those are two groups, and they come together, and that's intersectionality. It's not based on race. However, I do agree that maybe there is a sort of type when it comes to these leftist streamer guys, and as a person who watches a lot of leftist streamers, I can say the good majority of them are white. What are you gonna do? But maybe she has something to say about this that is constructive. Let's find out. I don't think so though.
So much of American leftism is based on the collective fight against systematic racism that Black, Indigenous, Latino, and others have been on the front lines of. Knowing who Angela Davis is, but not reading or applying her calls to be anti-racist is grifting at best. Before I go further, let's break down what the white leftist industrial complex looks like.
I'm not a grifter because I don't know who Angela Davis is. Anyways.
The white leftist industrial complex consists of varying traits, behaviors, and dog whistles. Commonly, you'd see them feeling vindicated when pushing misinformation, attacking the very black and queer people that correct their colonizer approach, having an inflated ego when discussing BIPOC issues, focusing more on appearing to be correct than actually having a true understanding, blindly pushing right-wing narratives in terms like woke scold and identity politics. It's more common than not for them to lack tangible.
I don't think identity politics is a right-wing term. I don't even think it's a bad thing. Like, identity politics is, of course, a real thing. I don't think that that's bad at all. Saying that, there are politics that come with your identity, how is that a bad thing? Appealing to idpol, while it is, like, kind of socially, like, looked at as sort of bad, I don't think idpol itself is bad at all. I think it is a way of appealing to different groups, if that makes any sense.
connections with the communities they state to advocate for, usually only surrounding themselves with other white people, but some might have their token BIPOC that they weaponize against people of color.
I assume that she's talking about Shark here. Not sure, but I'm sure I'll be proven right.
If I were to limit my description to a handful of words and phrases, I'd say arrogant, cognitive dissonance, insufficient contrition, argumentative, ruthless, and self-serving. This can make doing work with them very difficult with their consistent struggles with allyship, lacking proper etiquette in BIPOC-led spaces, wanting to be the loudest in the room. Surely in 2023, we should be able to expect so much more from our cis and white queer leftists. I and others are done entertaining their strawmans and moving forward spending our time on genuine leftist causes like combating Cop City, anti-trans bills, and the demonization of woke. I can keep this going all day, but let's get into this caucasity. Before I dive in, I need to define some terms and give some context for the foolishness you'll hear. Woke school, genderqueer, and identity politics, shortened to ITPOL, are dog whistles that they enjoy weaponizing against marginalized people. Woke school being a
Not at all. Woke school just means like a sort of police kind of guy who is always trying to purity test people. It's not at all about harassing marginalized people, because let me tell you, the majority of these people, the majority of them look like me. The majority of woke scolds look like me. They are white, they are straight, they are men, probably, you know, it might have a slight woman skew, but the majority of woke scolds online, they don't look like Soulbunni. And I'm talking about race here. They don't look like her, they look like me. And I don't think attacking woke scolds for having stupid ideas and behaving in a manner that is not good for the left at all is a bad thing. I think that's a good thing, actually, because it helps further our beliefs that I'm sure that we share.
An offshoot of woke used disingenuously by right-wingers. Like Erica Badu said, it's just another way to say black or thug, let alone woke being AAVE. Genderqueer is a word that has different meanings person to person, but the way I see it used is equivalent to a queer version of woke school. Lastly, ITPOL, or better known as identity politics, is the most mask-off racist term used by these flock. The civil rights movement is identity politics. Fighting for the right for gay marriage in 2015 is identity politics.
It literally is. It is politics based on your identity. That is identity politics. It literally is. But we are in the framing that identity politics is bad, which it just isn't. Is identity politics a thing that is weaponized to spread bad ideas? Yes. Is identity politics a, bad thing in itself? No, not at all. It is actually a good thing, and it has led to many good things, such as the civil rights movement and, the LGBT movement. Identity politics isn't a bad thing. We're just working under the framing that it is, because I guess that helps your point.
The fight for Roe v. Wade is identity politics. Black trans people fighting to combat the disgusting reality of our high murder rate is identity politics. We don't have to be class reductionist to expect change that lacks the intersection of race, gender, and sexual orientation.
Oh, this is gonna be great. You just got here, are we spreading misinfo? Yeah, I'm doing gay ops on genderqueers by encouraging my I'm encouraging my followers to make pick crew accounts and infiltrate genderqueer Twitter. Because once they catch wind of the plan that we're using pick crews to infiltrate genderqueer Twitter, they're going to all become incredibly suspicious of pick crews and they will eat each other alive. Does it matter which pick crew? No, just use a random one. But the more diverse, the better. Make it like a black butch lesbian with I don't know.
Now that we're caught up on terms, let's dive into this complex. Given our current events with all the anti-trans bills, and even Joe Biden failing trans people, I felt it was only right to first cover the white queer community. When I say the white queer community, I'm talking about a very specific group of white queer people. Typically, these are queer people who are in mostly white spaces and lack the interest of changing that. They may know of intersectionality, possibly sharing infographics about them. The problem lies with them not applying intersectionality to leftism. Assuming that being queer means they don't have to talk about their white privilege, taking an all lives matter approach to trans issues as they continue to not acknowledge black and brown trans people.
I actually somewhat agree with this. Like, I for one am anti-infographics shitters. I think that the same people who spread these infographics accounts are the same people who don't do anything, and they think that just raising awareness for one cause every now and then is equivalent to activism, which it just really isn't. I agree with her here, and that these infographic accounts and these infographic leftists and these aesthetic leftists, is what I like to call them, are only really leftist when it directly benefits them, and they don't have principles at all, and like stuff like that. They just don't have principles. They're really dumb. They have done nothing. They will do nothing because they lack the drive to do anything. I really agree with her here, and I think that it is very important for these infographic shitters to just really shut up, you know? Just be quiet.
Use the trans murder rate to advocate for themselves, while they ignore the fact that over 3/4 of trans murders are black trans people. Black trans people are already ignored by the media. We also have to overcome job discrimination, food insecurity, lack of housing, and overall, we're underserved. The overwhelming data has always been there, but the needed urgency still isn't there from cis and queer white people.
I do want to say though, I find it funny how she attacked Idpol so hard throughout the first 5 minutes of this video. It's just railed on Idpol, and then she does Idpol. Me, I do Idpol, but also I recognize that Idpol is good, or Idpol is neutral and can be used for good, and I do use it for good, I think. But the idea that Idpol is bad, you're poisoning the well, and then you use Idpol is really stupid, I think.
We also notice the trans people of color they do embrace usually have to be cis-passing. Another hurdle is the weaponization of respectability politics against black trans people, which is why it's still mostly black trans people forced to advocate for ourselves. The fact that, as of right now, there's been 2 black trans women murdered within the last 2 weeks. Yet the white trans community, along with the media, can't even muster a fraction of support or sense of urgency they give to our white counterparts. Have you ever thought of how many black trans folks we wouldn't have to bury if we had a collective understanding of intersectionality? It can't be mainly white trans people being celebrated, embraced, financially supported, and having access to success. It shouldn't take 10 black trans activists to equal out to 1 white trans public figure. Y'all aren't doing enough to uplift and empower us as the numbers show.
I think she has a fundamental misunderstanding of the media. This isn't the fault of leftists. The black trans women being murdered isn't the fault of leftists. It is the fault of the status quo that is anti-trans, anti-woman, anti-black, anti-poor, anti-working class. It is anti every single thing that these people are. And guess what? It is forwarded by the liberals and the right, and the center right. Mostly the center right, because the center right is like the owner of the media. They have CNN and all that. They own the media. And to blame the murder of black trans women on leftists is stupid. However, I do think that leftists could do better to maybe forward some more awareness towards these issues. That is a decent point.
There's much more I can say, but I'll save that for a future video. Having the context we need, let's jump into this queer caucasity. During Black History Month, 16-year-old Brianna Ghey was fatally stabbed by 2 other minors. Kayleen, a fellow trans creator, made a very powerful video on Brianna Ghey. This video gave the needed tone and the raw and real breakdown.
It's just grief like flayed and then displayed because I don't know how else to process. I don't know what else to do. Like, what are we supposed to say? What are we supposed to do? She was 16. She was 16, and for years she was being bullied and harassed. And then Brianna Ghey was stabbed to death by 2 other kids in broad daylight, a whole life gone. Maybe not a perfect one, but it was hers to live as she chose, or it should have been. I'm not going to make any claims about the motives of the killers. I'm not going to speculate on circumstances. Here are the facts. Every day, anti-trans narratives are being pushed by the media by disgusting anti-trans activists like J.K. Rowling, Graham Linehan, Kelly J. Keane, Matt Walsh, and organizations like LGBT Alliance or Libs of TikTok. Constant articles, videos, tweets, books, press conferences, news segments saying trans people are bad, trans people are dangerous, trans people are predators, they're sick, disgusting fetishists that exist only to harm women and children, an existential threat to humanity deserving of nothing but disdain and disgust, inhuman, expendable, worthless. Even in the coverage about Brianna being violently murdered, she's shown the maximum amount of disrespect and discrimination. The Times, shortly after their original article that referred to Brianna as a teenage girl, updated it to remove the references to her being a girl, changing teenage girl to transgender teenager, and adding in her dead name. Brianna's family released a statement.
Brianna was a much-loved daughter, granddaughter, and baby sister. She was a larger-than-life character who would leave a lasting impression on all that met her. Brianna was beautiful, witty, and hilarious. Brianna was strong, fearless, and one of a kind. The loss of her young life has left a massive hole in our family, and we know that the teachers and her friends who were involved in her life will feel the same.
Hashtag Say Your Name started trending due to mostly white queer people using it for Brianna Ghey. This phrase/hashtag was created by and for Black women who are victims of police violence like Sandra Bland and Breonna Taylor.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. It was made by Canadian natives to spread awareness for the genocide of the Canadian natives. I believe. I could be wrong. However, I have seen this multiple times, and the hashtag goes back to spreading awareness for the genocide of Canadian natives. Now, that is not to say Black women using this hashtag is wrong, because you know why? You can do multiple things. I believe that you can do multiple things, and when somebody does something wrong, like murders a woman, whether they be cis, trans, white, black, Hispanic, Asian, whatever, that woman should have the equal amount of respect as any other woman who has died, was slain, was killed, etc. Every single woman should get the same treatment, ideally. Now that is not real. That is not realistic because of the state that we live in. However, using Say Her Name as a rebuttal towards the media's obsession with caressing to the far right isn't wrong, because this hashtag was already appropriated once before. What's wrong with being appropriated again? I don't really see a problem here tying the slaying of a Black woman to police violence, which is wrong, and the slaying of a white woman to anti-trans delusion. I don't really see like the bad part here. It's a hashtag, and it's gonna be appropriated, it's gonna be reused That's like saying if you can't use hashtag Jack in the Box because Jack in the Box invented it. It's not a good argument. However, I can see why people may come to it, but it's just kind of a stupid argument in my opinion.
We requested them to use other hashtags like her name is Brianna. Black people that spoke up were being harassed, dogpiled, and called psyops by the racist white trans community. The harassment escalated when our trans comrade Jessie Jenner used her platform to speak up. Like the Avengers, racist white trans people came together to silence Jessie, who was merely showcasing her intersectionality. Jessie is the sweetest and most understanding person known to LeftTube. This is alarming to see so many from the queer community harass and uphold white supremacy in the name of what? White entitlement? It's a damn shame to have our most charitable comrades harassed out of their skin for standing up for black women. This can't keep happening. We as a community need to reflect.
Ayo, didn't Jessie spread the opinions of somebody who called Shark 300 a black man a race traitor? Come on now. I think this video was released before that. Yeah, it was. However, Jessie has been wildin' for a while. And I don't think the left should keep making excuses for her whenever she repeatedly makes dumb decisions.
And learn from these queer clan rallies.
It's basically just using the aesthetics of a foreign culture such that you can present yourself as sort of like someone who's cultured and expert on a culture that you're like not a part of. It really does boil down to like the like economics of it all, simply because it's like, you know, I'm going to talk about Ariana Grande because she's one of the biggest examples of someone who profits off of or otherwise gains social capital through the aesthetics of ethnic people. And
so does every single artist ever. Every single rock artist. Elvis Presley, all of his songs came from black people. And I know that we dislike Elvis Presley in this house. So that is not the best example. However, you know, Jack Harlow, you know, Eminem, any white rapper you can name, any Hispanic rapper you can name, any Asian rapper you can name, any Asian R&B artist, any white R&B artist, any white rock artist, any white jazz artist, any Hispanic jazz artist, all owes their career to the path that black people have forged in this country. And it is very short-sighted to say that this is a problem with Ariana Grande. Does Ariana forward this aesthetic and does she help perpetuate it? Hell yes. You could say that. However, to say that this is on Ariana Grande herself is incredibly stupid and short-sighted.
When it came to like the inciting incident for all of this like streamer drama on my end, not drama, but you know, harassment campaign, I didn't even say the words cultural appropriation. I didn't even say the words white supremacy. And a bunch of white people just kind of read into like what was, you know, a tweet that I posted at like 9 p.m. on a Sunday while stoned out of my face. And they added all of this outrage and they projected all of this outrage onto me that I didn't have. Cultural appropriation comes down to the issue of economics, where it's who gets to profit off of these cultures and who does not. I'll start from like the very beginning. Back in August 2021, it was my nephew's birthday. We were in the second year of the pandemic. I was, you know, at my desk scrolling and I was on urbanoutfitters.com. I saw this cookbook titled Dumplings and Noodles. It was about Asian like steamed buns and Asian noodles and all that. And I was like, oh, that's cool. It was like, oh, this is interesting. Like maybe I can get an idea from it. But then I saw the author's name, Pippa Middlehurst. That doesn't sound like an Asian woman. That sounds like a white lady from Britain. So in that context, I was just kind of like, not again. Like, why is this such a common occurrence where I'll try to look for something like about Asian food and it's like these white people kind of like presenting their expertise. So me being me, like I just kind of took a screenshot and like a screenshot of the author and put it on my Twitter and kind of laughed at it. And then I went to bed and I had a bunch of emails like more than usual. And then there was one I remember that said, you're just jealous of white women because they're sexy. And I looked, and my why would a white woman write a cookbook about dumplings and noodles had got a lot of traction, and there were a lot of racist comments in the replies. This wasn't my first time like waking up to find that I'd been harassed out of my skin. Had I known that my tweet had made it onto 4chan, I probably wouldn't have said anything. I just would have ignored it. Eventually, there were people like just camped out on my Twitter feed, like replying to anything I replied to, harassing like my mutuals and my followers. And I was like, what the hell is going on? In the quote tweets, there were, guys who were talking about like bringing a storm, talking about white genocide, this very like segregationist, like basically neo-Nazi stuff, and that was super concerning.
I want to point out the irony of being for insular cultures and being against cultural diffusion and being anti-segregation. Do you not see where this falls apart? Me personally, I am anti-segregation. I am also pro-cultural diffusion, and I think that if you want a post-segregation society, which we do not live in a post-segregation society, you need cultural diffusion. You need cultures to come together and become one, like, big, non-racial culture. And I get it. Black culture is the only uniquely American culture due to the fact that their culture was wiped out in the slave trade. I completely understand that, and I 100% get why people would be kinda iffy about giving this away to people. However, either you give it away and you reap the benefits of giving it away, which is some social status and stuff like that, or you have it taken from you. And for a long time, Black people have had it taken from them by people who look like me, by people who are white women, by people who are white men. They have had it stolen from them. They have had it forcibly taken from them. And when you are in a position to where you can share it, which is a very different thing from having it taken, when you are in a position you can share it, I think you take the opportunity to share it. Me personally, when I like something, I want other people to like it too. When I believe something, I want other people to believe it too. When I am showing people something, I want them to pay attention. And to have any sort of resemblance of that, you need to have people who are open to sharing parts of themselves, whether it be an insular thing about themselves or a wider, more broad thing about maybe the place that they came from. Maybe their mom made like some dope ass spaghetti, dog. Maybe their mom made some dope ass spaghetti and their mom told them the recipe. And they're like, hey guys, I want to make spaghetti for y'all because this shit is so good. Me personally, I'm trying the spaghetti. I'm not going to be like, hold on, that's appropriation of your mother's recipe. Because that's stupid, I am anti-segregation and I am pro-cultural diffusion because I think cultural diffusion leads us to the society that we all want, which is a post-segregation society, a desegregated society even. Ooh, big word. A desegregated society, a post-class society, a post-state society maybe even. And I think that all starts with diffusing the sort of clan mentality we have when it comes to ourselves as a person, and when I say a person, I don't mean an individual, I mean as in the things that make you what you are, as in the experiences you had growing up and the stuff that you lived through. If you are incredibly insular about that, nobody's gonna care. I'm sorry. I don't really know how to word it better, but nobody's gonna really care until you start to share that experience.
I logged off, and the next day I woke up to the author of the cookbook kind of trying to clap back at me for what I wrote about her. As the harassment kept escalating, I got more and more upset. I locked down my account for about a week. Like, the harassment was that bad. I was still getting emails, I was getting like comments, Facebook writers page, I was getting nasty DMs. The discourse reached like Jesse's single Twitter.
I also do want to say harassment is bad and you shouldn't do it.
It reached John Kay, it reached Barry Weiss. I was on the Daily Mail because I apparently said it's racist to eat noodles, which I obviously didn't. Russia Today covered the whole thing. The Babylon Bee covered it. The who's who of the far right transphobe Twitter. Obviously, it reached the white streamer corner of Twitter, where Vosh had started circulating this meme that said Pippa Middlehurst was actually an Asian adoptee, and that's why she was publishing this cookbook. These people had to make up lies to kind of paint this picture that I was just some racist Asian woman, saying that white people couldn't do this, white people can't do that.
If you really believe that Vosh wanted people to genuinely believe that and wasn't, joking on twitter.com, I think you need to do self-reflection, because clearly something in your ego is really fractured and you should look inward instead of trying to judge other people for making an obvious joke that just flew over your head.
There was a lot of projection on me. There was a lot of words being put in my mouth that I did not say and did not care to elaborate on.
It's very telling that the same white leftist that has a history of going after people of color joined the right-wing 4chan dogpile, pushing the same strawmans and reaches when Rosalind never said it was racist to make dumplings. It's the fact that they had to lie on Rosalind to find a justification of the harassment going on.
Well, okay. Is it racist, fellas? Is it racist to make dumplings? No. However, according to this logic, it is cultural appropriation to release a cooking book on said recipes. Now, if I made some bomb-ass toast and beans, okay? I just thought of the first foreign thing that came to mind. If I made some dope toast and beans, personally, I would want to give that recipe to people. And if I had the platform to do it in the form of a cookbook, trust me, I would, because it's an easy cash grab and it gets my recipe into other people's hands. It's just really as simple as that.
4chan literally made her cookbook a #1 bestseller in Asian cooking on Amazon.
Keffels wasn't as big at the time, but she had also piled on. So Keffels was quote tweeted it at the end of everything, and I didn't know who she was. But about a year later, when I saw that Keffels had piled on to the original discourse, I was like, oh shit, now I knew who she was by that point. And it was the first time I saw her tweet where she was just because noodles are tasty. I was just like, that's the whitest thing I've ever seen. I can't believe this purported white leftist who ratios transphobes or whatever also added on to this 4chan harassment campaign of me. That's rich. So I took a screenshot of it and I posted it simply with the caption, quite interesting. And somehow, a day later, Keffels found it and she quote tweeted me and the harassment campaign amped up again. In her same, in the same thread where she quote tweets me, she's like, Rosalind is just doing this to get attention because I have a much bigger account. I don't see the problem with what I said. And you're welcome. Rosalind is welcome to come on my stream and debate. You're setting me up and I'm not falling for it. And it was just
So what you're saying is you don't want to defend your ideas because you know they're stupid. And you're not willing to think through your ideas and you're not willing to build a fortress that is your beliefs. I get that that's a cringy metaphor, but I honestly can't think of anything better. You're not willing to build upon your beliefs, maybe even expand them. I think that when you have the opportunity to fortify your beliefs and maybe even, find out something new that might change or help argue for your beliefs, you should do it. And I think it is incredibly stupid not to.
She just proved my point in that entire, like, not exchange, but, like, in her quote tweet of me, she, like, weaponizes her white woman tears because she thinks I was trying to cancel her, even though I was just making a joke with my followers, like I was with the original tweet. I was
Where did Keffel say that?
harassed. Like, I had COVID that week, and I was just trying to get over COVID. But instead, I had to deal with the mass harassment that she sent my way because she was the one who needed engagement. She was the one who needed to basically start this drama that I wasn't even intending to start. Like, I'm showing my followers, like, look at this white bitch. This is ridiculous. And rather than just, like, leaving me alone, she relitigated that harassment campaign. We've been dealing with these issues a decade, if not been a writer since like about 20. This wasn't the first time I've seen a white woman position herself as this expert on dumplings and noodles and trying to get all of this social capital and trying to build a platform on her so-called appreciation, quote unquote, Asian culture. It's not about can white people do this,
Holy editing. Is she trying to like clip chimp her? Oh my god. Dude.
People can't do that or else they're racist. It's, oh, we don't want to listen to the critiques of any marginalized person or any racialized person because it makes me feel bad. And you guys are questioning my moral integrity, and I don't like that. And I'm going to use all of the power that I have to silence.
Keffels also ran a blockchain on anyone that liked, retweeted, and commented on the harassment. This was the first wave when Black trans Twitter got blocked en masse, making her space more insular and white. Once again, another moment showing white queers upholding white supremacy and refusing to apply an intersectional lens. Rosin was spot on when she said it's easier for white people to identify with a white woman making an Asian cookbook than people.
I think Keffels, as a trans, white, autistic woman, understands intersectionality pretty well, because she is in 3 pretty bad groups to be in right now. Of course, you know, being a woman isn't as bad as being trans or autistic as of right now. However, the right is working on that. But I think she understands what intersectionality is and how to use it.
People of color.
Like, the reason I love your idea about doing this video is because it's a group effort. Because it illustrates, like, that pattern of what these white leftist streamers do and how they, you know, kind of weaponize their platform to just do racism on a daily basis for content. And it's like, if you like, especially with the white queers, it's really frustrating because white supremacy and queerphobia, transphobia especially, like, it's all like intertwined and they don't understand this. Like, everything's intertwined. And white queers who are doing this, like, you know, doing racism for engagement bait, they don't understand how they're also shooting themselves in the foot. There was a part of me that wanted to believe that, you know, self-proclaimed white leftists, like, understood what was happening and, like, what my issue was. But at the same time, it's like, this is what white people do. They're going to, you know, circle the wagons and protect their own and essentially protect themselves.
Everybody understands what your issue is. It's just that it's a stupid issue. And to say that white leftists are working in their own interests is very stupid. If I was working in my interest, I would be so far right, because I belong to like the big 3 when it comes to power groups. If I wanted to protect my interests, I would be a Nazi. Plain and simple. That just is how it is. You know, I'm German. However, I do have glasses, so I don't think that they would like me there. But, if I wanted to protect my interest, I would be a Nazi. Straight up and simple. However, I don't want to protect my interests. I am a sort of, you know, I'm a principled person. I don't want to protect solely my interests. I think it is a bad life to live if you're protecting solely your interest and not the interest of yourself and people around you. And I think the way to do that is under, of course, far left government reform.
I think because they are more, I think it's easier for them to identify with Pippa Middlehurst than it is to identify with, you know, people like us. You know, I think a lot, like, you know, even in like progressive circles, I think racism is still kind of like a taboo topic for them, and they're very much like head in the sand. You know, like racism ended in the 90s kind of thing. Disappointing that despite everything that happened, like with the George
Nobody on the left thinks racism ended with the Civil Rights Bill. Come on now.
Floyd protest, everything that happened with like hashtag Stop Asian Hate, like they still could not fathom why I would be making fun of a white woman who wrote a book about Asian dumplings and noodles. All of these white people, and you know, even some Asian people, were basically accusing me of attacking this innocent white woman who was just appreciating the culture. And it's like, y'all, like these white people love this culture that we create. This culture, like these ethnic foods, these, you know, what television shows and movies, they love the aesthetic. They love the products that we put out. But if it were up to them, they would rather be the ones who are kind of like gatekeeping these cultures and presenting them in a way that's palatable for their like white friends, for their white audiences. They want to be the ones gaining the social capital. And it's crazy because, you know, these white leftists are supposedly anti-capitalist, but they don't and they can't see the issue. That I was like,
you know, I think every single leftist who is worth his salt, or her salt, or their salt, or their salt, or, you know, whatever. I think every single leftist who is worth their salt understands the work that Black, gay women have done for leftism. Me personally, I'm a big fan of the old Black Panther Party back when they like weren't cringe and were based. I'm a big fan of them. I got into leftism partially because of Fred Hampton, and you know, it's kind of hard to have the framing of Fred Hampton being your real big introduction to leftism and leftist theory, and being ignorant of the work that Black people have done to get leftism to where it is now. Now, I do think that there are people who don't understand, just don't get it. However, I would say that there's nothing wrong with this. It's just they're kind of more casual about it, and deep down, I'm sure they do understand all the work that black people and people of color have put into forwarding leftist beliefs. You know, the civil rights movement, for one. I'm sure that even the more uninformed people among us understand the work that others have put in.
Like, kind of pointing out with my very unserious tweet. At the end of the day, it is a very, like, ego-based reaction for them to be like, oh, so white people can't cook noodles? They're so quick to this, like, knee-jerk reaction, this, like, defensive reaction. It speaks volumes about their own principles and morals, where it's more important for them to, you know, get their jokes in. It's more important for them to defend their right to be Asian food enjoyers or Asian food appreciators or whatever. I think what bothers me the most is that this one, or maybe two if they're disabled, this, like, one marginalization means that they're like completely infallible to any critique.
Nobody is saying that except for y'all.
It means they think only white people can be queer, only white people can be disabled.
No one is saying this.
Like, I've seen so much of that on Twitter where it's like, how can I be racist? I'm literally queer. It shows
Example?
like this fundamental misunderstanding of like intersectionality, where if you're marginalized, it like gives you a pass or something. It's like a sticker that says like, I'm perfect. I'm oppressed, therefore I'm perfect. It's like they're using it as like a badge to say, oh, I'm progressive. Like, my marginalization means I'm progressive and I can't be racist, and it means I'm perfect. And it
No one is saying this.
means that I'm the most important person in the room because I'm so marginalized. And like that, again, like it's like this white need, like this need to.
Let's unpack that statement. I am the most important person in this room because I am marginalized. My good friend, what has your pal to the left been doing this whole video? She has been saying, my opinion is more important because I belong to more marginalized groups. Point blank simple. If we want to really have it there, then there we go. That is Soulbunni's whole thesis, that her opinion is more important because she belongs to more marginalized groups.
Be the one voice in the room, or to be the voice in the room, or to be the most right. It fails to account for, racialized people who are also queer, who are also disabled, who are otherwise marginalized in different ways. And a lot of it is like, so much of it feels like they're trying to avoid any opportunity to do any self-reflection. If you understand that you're marginalized by your queerness, by your disability, you have to understand that all of these oppressive systems are rooted in white supremacy. And if you're not willing to reckon with white supremacy, you're not actually for liberation. What you're for is assimilating into the power structure that keeps racialized people at the bottom.
I agree with this statement. Nothing else. I agree with this statement. Just exactly what she said. But the rest of her rant was kind of dumb. But based at the end.
The avoidance of reflecting on their whiteness within the queer community is one of the biggest issues in our community. It's shown a lot of times when they can't hide behind their queerness to trans people of color. That's when you'll start hearing identity politics, woke scold, and oppression Olympics. That's when they run blockchains on intersectional posts to maintain their narrative and pedestal they place themselves on. You can say a lot of white queers have a bad case of main character syndrome. While we're still here discussing the white queer community, I felt it was proper to end it off discussing this clip that I consider bad white queer literacy.
Yeah, the Hassan raid for a charity stream makes it earn so much more money too. It's such a valuable gift.
Oh yeah, no, it was great. It sucks, the response to the charity stream was actually very negative, which was crazy to me. There was a lot of trans people who were trying to turn it into into a bad thing, which was
For what?
They were trying to say that it was entirely performative and I should have raised money to directly put into the PayPal accounts of Black trans women. I'm not joking, this was an actual thing people were mad about.
If you did go down that road, I can see a lot of people getting really mad and being well, are you accountable? Do you have the receipts? Did every single person get how much money? How did you decide who gets it and who doesn't? Not to mention, if you want to use Tiltify, I think is the name of it, for raising money.
Yeah, it's I didn't have access to the money, and also if I raised $200,000 on my own, and I would not only have to pay taxes, but I feel they would be even more mad if I was hello, white trans woman here. It is time for me to decide which Black trans women are worthy of this money I raised on your behalf. I am a savior of the Black trans community. No, they would hate.
True. Based couples. It's really a lose-lose situation. If you say, hey, Black trans woman, what is your PayPal? What is your Cash App? And you just do this to 200 people and you donate them, let's say $1,000. Or you can give it to an institution that helps out Black trans people. It's gonna be, why didn't you just give the money directly to them yourself? Why did you have to go through an organization? Or it's gonna be, on the other side, it's gonna be, a bit white saviory, aren't you? How'd you vet these people? It's really a lose-lose whenever you're coming at this in bad faith. And I think it's really stupid in that raising charity, especially for a good cause such as trans awareness and helping out trans women and men, is a good thing.
Hate me for that. They wouldn't like that. They don't want that.
In reality, Black trans women that are being murdered at staggering rates don't give a damn what some random white person on Twitter is saying. We lack funding and support, period. Many of us either don't have Twitter, let alone enough reach to be heard. This clip also showed me that Keffels isn't in community with Black trans folks, displaying how she cares more about how she appears than helping BIPOC trans people she states to be the CEO of.
It's a joke. It's a funny.
White leftists are not our allies. They are not our accomplices. They are not for liberation. They are for their own profit and for building their own social capital and positioning themselves as the experts, as the they're this whole thing has just made me realize that white people are not serious. The only thing they're serious about is
true. I'm quite silly.
This individualist need to be visible, basically, to be the funniest in the room, to be the most progressive in the room. It just kind of made me realize that this is just a facade to them. This is just a game. They have.
Okay. earnestly and honestly tell me that whenever you walk into a room and you are the funniest person in that room and you're just banging them out, just banger joke after banger joke, that you do not feel good. Or honestly tell me that, because I'm gonna honestly say that you are wrong. I think it is the fantasy of every person to just walk into a room and be a charisma god. I don't think a single person hasn't had that fantasy.
Have no like actual stakes in the game. Like it's basically like, this is like the idea of like liberation is not something that they're really thinking of. They're basically just treating this like as a sport or something like that. Once their feelings are hurt, like once they get their feelings hurt, they will revert to their whiteness like in the snap of a finger. And God forbid, like I show a bit of vulnerability and like show my emotions about everything. And like when it comes to women of color like pointing out anything that's wrong with the world, we're always angry, we're always like hysterical, we're always like irrational. And especially when it comes to like making fun of white women, like it's like we've committed this cardinal sin. Like don't make fun of white women. Like,
hey, if this whole video was just dunking on white women, I would agree with it. I hate white women. I hate white bitches. On God.
You're gonna make us look bad. And it's like, I don't care. Like,
What inspired this segment was me watching FD's video that had a segment on online figures cancellations. See Merrick go into depth about why she was previously cancelled while completely leaving out the biggest one. She constantly ran defense for her now racist ex-boyfriend SDL, and joined in on the dog pal on Professor Flowers and Cat Black.
Where has SDL been racist? I don't know. Every time I see SDL, he seems kind of based.
She also went after me for my first video essay that included her ex's racist statements. My video also breaks down her weak 13-15 arguments, and she ignores that arrests aren't convictions. She played out the white tears and expected me to delete my first video. At this time, I was a nobody with only 500 subs. What does it mean when black people get attacked and dogpiled for correcting white people's advocacy?
Oh yeah? Well, I'm a nobody with 30 subs. What now, Soulbunni? What now? What now? Haha.
See for us. Can you see how that can hinder a lot of work when we're stuck discussing one-on-ones with self-appointed allies? Hey y'all, it's me again. I felt the need to pop up to relate and to understand the seriousness of the situation we're discussing next. I want to show them the productive attitudes writing in all this drama, but these are real people's lives. It never should have escalated to the scale that it did. And honestly, that's really sad. The blatant trans misogyny is sad. The harassment, the dogpiling, and just all this coming from white leftists. That's sad. Please listen to the perspective we haven't been given and understand these are real people's lives.
it's white people making these spaces unsafe for us. And that's not us being insular. It's them refusing to learn or understand or otherwise like meaningfully engage with any anti-racist theory or any anti-racist like praxis. Racism is very serious and it can be extreme. White people should treat it seriously, but they have this like stereotypical idea of racism that it's for them, it's like a very high bar to meet, you know? They don't see that.
I do agree with her here. There were a lot of white people and some white leftists who don't really acknowledge racism unless it's overt. It's the same type of people who are like, oh, civil rights bill, you know, black people are equal. It's the same type of people who say that, and they're stupid. I fully agree with her here. Let's see how she'll mess this statement up.
That calling any black leftist a psyop, they don't understand why that's problematic because they only see the Klan hoods as a valid form of racism. They're not dealing with like the root cause of these oppressions. And it's kind of like why we keep going in this like endless circle, because we have to keep explaining to white people that yes, white supremacy is actually at the root of everything. It's at the root of misogyny, it's at the root of queerphobia, it's at the root of transphobia, it's at the root of ableism. Sometimes it feels like white people are just like being dense on purpose. It's like their God-given right to be dense and to keep us trapped in this cycle of explaining to white people that white supremacy is at the root of everything. Like, the white arrogance makes them come into these conversations where they're like, I'm the most right person, and if you tell me otherwise, I'm just gonna harass you because you're racist. And like, it's so that arrogance means that they're not coming from a place of like wanting to learn and wanting to help and wanting to join the collective struggle. It's about wanting to feel like the most right person in the room. It's about.
So, if a white person agrees with you, let's say, heaven forbid, a white person agree with you, would you change your stance? No?
It's about their own personal grievances. But white people, they're coming into this brand new, but they're acting like they are the experts and they're the most right. And this whole debate culture, it exacerbates that problem 100%, because they have this like following, to have this fan base of people who hang on to your every word. They're not coming to this with an open mind. They're coming to this with a, okay, I'm here now, let's fix it.
Neither are you. You're not coming to this with an open mind. You literally have been ranting for the past 15 minutes because you saw like a white lady and she made a book called like, let's fix up some noodles. You know, the hypocrisy points itself out there, and I hate to be like, oh, hypocrisy, you are a hypocrite and that means you are wrong. However, I do think that most of her argument is just kind of vibes, and when you are having a vibes-based argument, it is very hard to have an actual rebuttal that isn't just, oh, here's where you did that.
Kat Black, a black trans content creator, is one of the pioneers of trans YouTube. I've been following Kat Black since I was a freshman in high school. In 2016 to 2018, she was targeted in a harassment campaign by the alt-right pipeline. Numerous bad faith videos were made that didn't engage at all with what Kat Black was saying in her videos. Last year's Women's History Month, she was intensely harassed by white leftists. Kat made the mistake of asking her community a very simple question. Without naming names, she asked her community that's largely trans if ironic misogyny is helpful to trans liberation. This led to
She's talking about Vosh.
and aka Vosh, who made the ironic misogyny joke against J.K. Rowling.
Called it. And hear me out. I agree with him. Ironic misogyny is good. However, it cannot be anything beyond irony. But Vosh isn't a misogynist. There we go. Boom. Ironic misogyny is a good thing. Because, why do you say this, Tay? Because it is funny. Point blank period. I love ironic misogyny. It's great. Especially whenever you're using it against a TERF like J.K. Rowling. Who is a TERF, which is a trans-exclusionary radical feminist. Whenever you are attacking a person who decides who and who isn't a woman based on their womanhood, I think that is a good thing, and I think that is an effective argument.
To jump into Kat's DMs. In that exchange, Vosh not only was a massive dick, but he also displayed an explosive amount of arrogance that only a cis white man would confidently display. Everything escalated fast when Vosh in his glory misrepresented his conversation with Kat, starting a wave of harassment that would only get worse with each day. In her attempt to shut down Vosh's lies and low digs, she rightfully released the DMs that showed how unhinged and self-important Ian is. At this point, Ian decided to escalate the situation even further, taking it to stream to weaponize his live audience. ContraPoints, who's one of the biggest video essayists in LeftTube, also fell victim to Vosh's stream. ContraPoints simply speaking up on his bad faith attacks led him to slick his fans on her. All this because two trans women told him that ironic misogyny isn't helpful to trans people. Many of the debate pros from Twitch and the racist queer community joined in on the dogpiling of Kat Black. Hunter Abelum being one of them who came with the biggest reach against Kat Black in his quest to gain clout. Hunter's first thought was to dig up out of context tweet of Kat. It's very rich coming from him since he's supposedly a reformed white supremacist, let alone the fact that he made a very viral right-wing racist transphobic video on Kat that got hundreds of thousands of views. So to see him not only join in on the dog pile, but to do so with the dog whistle as id pull is very ironic. While we're on white leftists, I wanted to give Dreamleaf her Queer Clan Rally Award. Her outstanding continual racist attacks and misinformation on Kat Black takes a lot of commitment to constantly have cat in your mouth. Now let's hear Ian retell what happened from his perspective.
Well, I don't like the arguments a lot of people are using, you know?
Based.
I'm okay with being criticized for the ironic misogyny, but a lot of people, I think, again, are doing that ceding ground to J.K. Rowling thing. So one of the people doing that was Cat Black on Twitter. DM'd Cat Black saying that I disagreed with her and asked if she would be interested in hearing my explanation for my behavior. She made comments about my penis unprompted, which again is very weird. Cat Black sexually harassed me. I'm really sorry. Just out of nowhere talking about a person's dick because you've sexted them before and you're having a public falling out with them, to stand by the side of that person when everything that I've done here, every element of this particular drama, has been escalated and instigated by other people. That's not an exaggeration. Yeah, Vosh, pretty much exactly what Cat State Season 2. All right, are you guys ready for the mildest hot take in the universe? Okay. Super idpol, lefty black women who are really condescending to white people in terms of their ability to engage in political discourse. Love fucking white dudes. It's the exact same reason that racist white guys all watch interracial porn to jerk off to. It's the exact same thing. It's identical. There's no difference. It's literally the exact same goddamn thing. It's true. I'm sorry, guys. People who have racist thoughts tend to weirdly fetishize interracial race shit for probably reasons they should be more critical of. Is this not exactly like all of the woke scolds who would reply to ContraPoints and say stuff like, are you done invalidating the voices of trans women who have been hurt by your content? It's such a shitty, presumptuous woke scold kind of behavior because you're presupposing, the more of you are in the replies being that's not what's happening right here. This is necessary, okay? Publicly shame her into changing her mind on this. I just think it's funny how he's talking shit, so here we are, lol. She really is mentally a teenage girl. Don't they say trans people go through a second puberty when they transition? Oh my god, I didn't even see this. Wait, she's genuinely retarded. I'm so sorry. Do you guys remember the DMs that we shared?
As you saw, he did everything to escalate the situation. He starts by using anti-white, which at this point is more than a dog whistle. His fetish comments were pulled completely out of his rear, especially when you know that Kat has discussed race play for years. Kat is so open in her content about her experiences of black trans women being fetishized. I haven't even spoken on him going after ContraPoints for simply calling out his ego. Trans people's lived experiences will always hold more weight than what some arrogant cis white man has to offer.
Trans people, surprise, surprise, can be wrong. I'm just going to drop that one there. Trans people can be wrong. And anecdotes from trans people's lived experiences, while they should be valued, can be wrong.
And don't waste your time with the Blair White and Candace Owens strawmans. You don't even realize you weaponize them against black people just as much as white supremacists. Now to these important next clips.
It's real bad. You guys saying that she leaked the sects, which by the way, I saw large content creators repeating the fact that she leaked the sects, which never happened. That did not ever happen. No sects were ever leaked by anyone. All that Cat Black ever did was say that the greatest extent that they ever engaged was to sext a few years ago. You guys have been spreading that lie all the fuck over the place. And honestly, that's fucking shit. Just fucking misinfo. And it is, I'm seeing it now, by the way, people perpetuating this. And this is how you start to build up a cancellation profile for someone who didn't even do the things you're accusing of them.
First of all, F you Shark for being another black man complicit in some racist transphobic bull against a black trans woman. You're really giving leftist Candace Owens vibes.
However, black people are not a monolith. Black people disagree with each other all the time. Black people disagree with white people all the time. White people disagree with black people all the time. I disagree with some black people. Is that a racist thing to say? No, not at all. Because I disagree with them based on their ideas, and I think their ideas are stupid. I think Soulbunni's ideas are, for the most part, stupid. I think Shark's ideas, for the most part, are pretty good. I disagree with some black people, just like I disagree with some white people, just like I disagree with some Asian people, just like I disagree with some women, just like I disagree with some NBs. Is that a racist, sexist, homophobic thing to say? No, not at all.
You were so mask off with your bad faith attacks on Cat Black. Shark was the first content creator to push this misinformation that debate bros till this day still latch onto.
Sick art though. Really good art. Sick art.
The hordes of racist white queer people that ran with this to attempt to silence Cat, and anyone calling out the bold trans misogynoir. Shark gained a lot of clout and profited off of the attacks. Black trans people don't have to accept contradictory allyship from cis black men, throwing black trans people to the wolves that are debate bros.
Bro, this is off topic, I didn't even know you could do that. I didn't even know you could put colored pencil on watercolor. That's fucking sick, dude. That's awesome. That's so cool. Anyways.
Wasn't the first or the last trans person he's gone after. The clout and access he gained after strategically going after Professor Flowers was the first time I sensed coon vibes from him.
Professor Flowers, known black separatist, known Hotep. I'm just gonna prescribe that to her, known Hotep, because she does agree with the large amount of Hotep beliefs. By the way, Shark, obviously, not a Hotep, not a black Nazi, not Blittler. So of course they're gonna disagree. Saying that Shark is a race traitor because he disagrees with the opinion of a black woman is incredibly stupid. Now, I've been called a race traitor many times in my life. You know the types of people who call me a race traitor. It is the KKK members that live in the town next to me. They're the ones who call me a race traitor because I have a girlfriend who is a person of color, because I am friends with black people, because I am friends with gay people, because I am friends with trans people. They call me a race traitor. You know, flip the script a little bit. You're calling Shark a race traitor.
At the moment, he lacks any contrition for the hate he pushed. I don't have time to deal with Uncle Ruckus Jr. when my black and brown trans siblings are lacking resources, support, dying, and being murdered. There's a lesson from this that I want leftists and especially Corn Burn Tube to understand. To have allyship with black trans folks is so much more than publicly stating your support. To be intersectional with us, you need to include us in your dialogue. You'll need to share your platform to help push nuanced discussions. Learn what trans misogynoir is, which I discussed in my video Transphobia and Trans Misogynoir. Now back to this caucasity.
I will not move from my positions because I am right and confident in that rightness. And I have not, nor will I ever cede ground to bad arguments because they're being offered by people with different lived experiences than me. We will be mass banning people from my subreddit who take any position other than the correct one, which is mine. Also from my chat and from my Discord. There were a lot of people here in my community and chat who were defending Contra throughout all this, but Contra never actually posed an argument to me in public. What am I supposed to take from that? Don't you think the whole I'm right, you're wrong mentality encourages this kind of behavior? No, never cede into the abusers. They want you to think that being confident is what they have a problem with. They want you to believe, oh, things would be so much better if only you were weaker and more susceptible to peer pressure. I will never cede anything for the sake of optics with these fucking people, okay? Never in my life. I will tear this entire goddamn community to the ground before I cede even the slightest point for the sake of getting them off my back. I do not care. I will never care. I'm building my nest egg, all right? I'll do this shit for as long as I can. I will never in my life back off. And if more people were like me, the left would have won the online space years ago.
After watching that, aren't you eager to give him the most helpful trans ally award? If bad media literacy was clipped, it would be these. Strictly only be in a community with trans people that agree with you, as this person says it all. This is exactly what creates insular spaces where white supremacy in the queer community can grow.
Do you honestly think that Keffels agrees with Bosch on every single thing that Bosch says? Do you honestly think Conyer agrees with every single thing Bosch says? I don't think so. I think they are all three individuals and disagree and agree on certain things. And the amount that they agree on might be a very, very tight Venn diagram, but there is still that little bit that they disagree on.
He purged away the remaining intersectional trans people in his space and built walls like the arrogant entitled white boy he is. To be this explosive over being corrected is what BIPOC leftists fear in shared spaces.
The cognitive dissonance is white supremacy, like, let's be real. But that weird cognitive dissonance, like, it was a bit surprising. You know, like, and this is my real life, you know, like, these are my, like, lived experiences. Whereas these, like, white leftists are just, like, they're just doing discourse. They're just shitposting. They're just trying to get content for their streams or whatever. And
why is that a bad thing? Why is that bad? I'm genuinely curious. Why is, making content and forwarding your ideas a bad thing? Is it because the left is a social club and not a political movement?
And they're trying to do this, like, reactionary grifting, like a lot of people on the right do. Like, I very, like, the fact that so many white leftists also had the same reaction as so many right-wing douchebags kind of speaks volumes, you know? Like, even white people who are, like, marginalized by class or by disability or by sexuality.
They don't, though. white leftists who disagree with you based on your ideas. White right-wingers disagree with you because you are an Asian woman. It's really as simple as that.
They still had the same reactions as like Jesse Single. And what does that say about whiteness? What does that say about so-called white progressives?
This
Nothing.
final mask-off conversation I'll show you is of Ian talking to Andrewism. It is rich in examples of being out of touch and struggling with allyship 101s.
The problem is the language that I used was inclusionary, and the language that she used was exclusionary, which is the reason why I was critical. My message wasn't
Exclusionary in what way?
So she literally says, do not talk to me about police, white people, until you've done X.
Hold on.
I can't imagine.
She said, please don't speak to me about police in the context of what the guy said. She was speaking directly to somebody. She had quote tweeted somebody. So the please don't speak to me about police is specific to that tweet. But the first sentence, why white leftists more eager to unify with racialized communities than organize your own people first. Second sentence, unity with black people is meaningless as long as the masses of white people are indoctrinated into white supremacy and liberalism. Now in the original,
I don't think I should have to be united with white people because a lot of white people are stupid. So,
stream, you're taking issue with the phrase your own people. Do you still have issue with that phrase?
Yeah. Why are we racializing this?
Because you can't ignore race in America of all places.
No, if you have a problem with a take, you don't need to say, why are these white people giving a bad take? You don't need to say white people aren't doing enough. If you have an issue with a take,
pointing out a general trend in the organization patterns.
That's right. That's essentializing.
Lack of organizing patterns. It's not essentializing. So
why did black people overwhelmingly vote for Biden instead of Bernie? Maybe you guys need to do more radicalization within your own community first. How much is X or Y doing? Like, why aren't white people doing enough? Why not use positive language that includes people? White people have a power that black people don't.
Because you don't need to coddle people.
Oh, see, now we're getting to it. Using inclusionary language is coddling. Anti-revolutionary rhetoric. This is counter-revolutionary from No Name. The original tweet is saying, hey, workers of America, we need to rise up together and recognize that petty racial infighting is not the way to solve our problems. We need to work together against the collective institutions that oppress us.
You have a weird way of perceiving these sort of things, but let me scale back a bit.
If you were a random white kid and you saw this tweet, like you realize...
We're not talking about random white kids, Fosh.
Random white kids are future revolutionaries. White Boy Summer is a revolutionary's haven, okay? We need those random white kids. And they see a tweet like this, and what do they think? How can you recruit new people if you don't care what normies think about our movement? How can we recruit new people if we don't care about what randoms think about our messaging? We need to know. We need to be appealing to them as much as possible. We should be having bake sales to get these fuckers in our doors. There are people who are going to say that I'm tone policing, but that it's okay to tone police massive public figures when they're giving political messaging. That's an okay time to tone police, actually. Optics is very important when it comes to bringing over new people. I don't think we're ever going to agree on that. And even if they never fully unlearn it and they're still like a little bit racist, what would you rather have? A slightly racist white kid who wants a proletarian revolution, or a slightly racist white kid with a back of blue sticker on the back of his fucking Ford Focus, you know? I know that I would rather have them on the left. And maybe they're irritating and other black people on the online left don't want to be around them. That's cool. They don't have to. It's not a social club. They can stay in some other portion of the left where people are more tolerant of that type of behavior, you know?
And who do you think is going to create that path? Who do you think should create that path? Who do you think should be putting in that difficult work to build that path?
Well, I do it better than pretty much anyone else, I think. So I'd say me. Yeah, I think other white people can use their privilege to try to access those communities.
Which is No Name's point.
No Name was basically telling white people to sweep their own porch before coming to pick apart black people's advocacy, being that white Americans have yet to tangibly reckon with their whiteness. They still at large are struggling to push anti-racist efforts within their own spaces. It took an entire hour for Ian to finally understand the No Name tweet, only to gaslight his way out of reflecting, purposely refusing to understand since his whole argument he relied on would crumble, placing more importance in personally feeling right than truly understanding what Andrewism and No Name are conveying. The idea that black people at the tone police are intersectional leftist spaces, for some likely still racist white boys to feel welcome, is quite literally counterproductive. The only people that need to be doing bake sales and going to—
You do have to tone police your spaces. You do. It's just a thing that has to happen. When you don't tone police a space that you control, that is how you get crazy, insane people in it. You do have to tone police the spaces that you belong in. And I know that is kinda, maybe it seems a little counterintuitive to my, anti-woke scoldy thing. I don't think it is at all. Because if you don't tone police at all, now I think woke school types take it too far. But if you don't do it at all, you have literally insane people rambling on your timeline, and I think that is bad. And I think if you have the left being forwarded by a bunch of insane people, it's a bad thing.
Door to door are other white people. The Black Panther Party and MLK were largely unpopular, yet they made so much progress. Progress that was made without the majority of white Americans and normies. Moving forward...
True, however, it would have been a lot easier if they had a lot of white Americans and normies. Just saying. It would have been a lot easier. Maybe we can make a lot more reform a lot easier if we had white Americans and normies.
We should stop engaging and going back and forth with bigots that dig their heels in. That time could be better spent uplifting and helping build intersectional leftist creators, especially Cornbread too. Watch more women.
We can do both. We can do both. Just simple as, we can do both.
Of color, queer, and trans content creators. Together we can encourage a healthy space welcoming more diverse voices, where tone policing isn't the norm, nuance encouraged, and our lived experience aren't dismissed. Let's together walk into this new leftist era where truly intersectionality is the norm. With that said, I wish you endurance as we push through more anti-trans and CRT bills.
Two of the guys, by the way, that she showed, Tubbs, I think his name is, and FD Signifier, are, like, straight up anti-white. I don't think Tubbs can get through a single sentence without saying, like, white people bad, white people bad, white people are bad because they are white. And, you know, FD Signifier, he's FD Signifier. It's just, you know, make some better examples, please.
Special thanks to Kayleen, my interview Rosalind, and Aaron Knock for making my thumbnail. If you want to help me create more Black trans-focused content, you're able to support me on 2 other platforms.
Alright, so her video's over. I do think the structure of this video had a way of it being good. Because I do agree with her on the fundamental point that white people are overrepresented in the left, and that there should be more voices of color, more queer people, more disabled people in the left, because the left is an inclusive space, and when people see people who look like them in the left, it helps them share those ideas. That is a proven thing, that people who see people who look like them, and when I mean that, I mean in gender, race, disability, stuff like that. When people see people who look like them, they tend to identify more with the points made. And I do agree with her that it is important to help forward Black and gay and woman ideas. However, this shouldn't come off the back of despairing normie ideas and getting rid of just any sort of appeal to normies. We can do both. We have the ability to do both. We have the personalities to do both. We have people like Shark who may appeal more towards a Black leftist because he is Black. And we have people who, like Philosophy Tube, she may, appeal more towards European people because she is European, she is British, she's British. It's important to have a diversity of not just race, not just gender, but also of thought, and I think there is plenty of that in the left, and there is also an importance to have a diversity of strategy and personality when it comes to the left. I do agree with her on that point, on that fundamental point. However, again, this doesn't have to come off the backs of disparaging white leftist people, because I do believe that white leftist people have a very important place in the leftist industrial complex, I guess. I can't think of a better word. White leftists do have a very important place in this, solely because they're leftists. And beyond that, it's because they belong to a power group. And if you can spread your ideas to a power group, it becomes a lot easier to have your ideas be believed by the masses. But anyways, that has been about it for today. Long ass video. I'm hoping to start doing this in maybe a stream format soon, because I think this content does do better to stream. Problem is I have like 30 subs, so I can't really do that. But I might try to stream every now and then. We'll see. Maybe once a week. But anyways, thank you all for all the support lately. I doubled in subs overnight, and that's like really insane. I also got like 400 views. It might be 500 by now. Let me see. I think the Jesse Gender video might have hit 500 by now. It has. Look at that. 499. Not quite 500. It's not gonna focus, but still, thank y'all so much for all the support lately. More content soon. I'm hoping to release maybe videos like this more often, maybe every now and then having the shorter videos in between these longer ones, because, you know, if I just make hour-long content, that'd be boring. But anyways, yeah, I'll see y'all next time. Bye.